when you come into a lesson with like an actual problem you're trying to solve and that's the only purpose, I find you leave with a way more coherent solution. Like when I watched that Charlie Porter video on
Shout out
how
to
to
Charlie.
set up, shout out Charlie Porter for fixing my articulation. It's not fixed yet, but but it was way worse.
Got to get him on this show.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
But yeah, that brace thing that he mentions, and he shows a few examples of like Winton doing it and Freddie doing it, and it's like now I see everybody's doing it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. I've taken many lessons with Charlie. We've worked on that. That was actually one of the first things that I worked on with Charlie, and I was having a lot of embouchure issues, and he like basically saved my trumpet career. You know?
Yeah, you got way better studying with him.
Yeah, it's funny.
That was cool, like seeing how fast you got better.
Yeah. No, he's the real deal.
I can't believe I
Yeah.
still never took a lesson with him. Man, I haven't taken a trombone lesson in like 3 years. It's time. It's too late. I took a piano lesson.
It's
this
not
summer.
too late.
No,
but
it's,
you should.
I mean it's too. It's been,
too long.
It's like too late. Like the library fee is too large, and I'm embarrassed.
Right.
Not like it's too late. Like I can't
Yeah.
change
feel
this.
you.
Like
I
I can
feel you.
still cover the $20, but like they're gonna make me buy the whole book. It's I gotta get better about that.
About the lessons or the
Yeah,
library fees?
I don't have a library card.
Because you don't trust yourself.
Fuck on my credit score. No.
I'm in too deep, man.
It's too late.
Now you got valve trombonists and librarians after you. That's
no.
that's not a good look, man.
No,
Fuck.
shout out Toronto Public Libraries.
Yeah, you might have to flee the city soon.
Yeah, let's talk about Charlie.
You want
How was studying with Charlie?
Yeah, studying with Charlie is amazing. I would recommend it to anyone, not just brass musicians, because the way he thinks about music is just really deep. I remember the last lesson that I had with him, which was a few months ago. I stopped studying with him for a year or two, but before that, I was like consistently taking lessons with him for I don't know 2 or 3 years. And the last lesson that I had with him, we were just talking about playing changes as if you're like a Dixieland clarinet player, just like arpeggiating all the like the seventh chords and stuff. And then like once you're fluent with that on a tune, mixing up the order of the notes so that you're not just like playing
Okay. But you're still playing the chord, like you're not.
Yeah, you're still-
You're not playing anything more than just the harmony.
yeah, you're just like straight up playing the seventh chord, but you're like jumping around in like
Okay.
interesting ways. After you can do that, like maybe you can pick more interesting upper structures on the harmony rather than so it gets like more and more modern because all of a
Okay.
sudden you're going from basically just like arpeggiating seventh chords to still arpeggiating seventh chords, but like maybe skipping up a minor seventh and then like whatever, like doing fourths and fifths, stuff like that. But yeah, he's if you take a lesson with him and you have like a topic that you want to go into, ask a few questions and he'll just like go off and like he'll give you a bunch of stuff that addresses your question and then like way more that like is related to it, so you're like thinking about that thing that you're
You have
wondering
the
about
next
in like
things to
in a
check
whole
out.
different way. Like yeah, you usually end up going away from a lesson with him with like way more questions than you started with, but in a good way.
Yeah. Sounds like a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I took a few lessons after I was taking weekly lessons at Humber. I took a year off of taking private lessons, and in that time I took like a lesson with Al Kay and a lesson with Will Karn, and maybe a couple other lessons here or there with other people. But it was only like I'd book a lesson when I had a pressing problem,
Right.
and it was way better than the weekly check-in thing. That's also really important, but that was
Yeah.
more of like a therapy thing. It's like making sure that I'm on the right track and like giving me something to do next week. Whereas when you come into a lesson with like an actual problem you're trying to solve and that's the only purpose, I find you leave with a way more coherent solution. You don't necessarily solve the problem in the lesson,
Right.
but it's easier to attack a problem
Yeah, maybe
when
get
you
like
go
a
in
game plan kind of.
lesson focused on that problem, as opposed to like discovering what, like asking the teacher what the problem is,
Right.
you know? Because then maybe they find a problem that you're not too motivated to fix right now, so it goes right over your head.
Yeah.
Or you're more preoccupied in the other problem.
Yeah.
Like somebody's like, you got to fix your tuning, and you're like, yeah, but my articulation's really bugging me.
Yeah.
So then you don't fix your tuning because you worked on tuning in your lesson that week,
Yeah.
but you were thinking about articulation all week and the week before.
Yeah. Or it's like, I don't know, like you got to learn all these like improvising abilities or whatever, learning bop language and stuff like that. It's like, okay, but like, let me get the fundamentals of trumpet together first.
Oh yeah, that definitely happened to me. I remember being I did the Humber Community School in high school, and I was in this advanced, like I'd been playing jazz for a year and a little bit, maybe less than a year. Like I think I signed up for the winter term, and then you were allowed to go to the theory lessons. I don't think I'd been placed in this theory class necessarily, but it was the theory class that was happening when I wasn't in an ensemble, so I was allowed to go. And so I'm sitting in this I'm looking around the class, and it's all these cats who are like about to get full rides to Berkeley.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just sitting here like been playing jazz trombone for 9 months. Just and I thought I understood any of it is the worst part. I'm sitting there in these lessons like taking my notes and everything, but none of it stuck because I just wasn't ready for it. You know, I needed to
Right.
learn how to hear a scale, learn how to practice.
Yeah. But I think there's something to be said about kind of getting yourself into deep in some of those situations, and that's when you learn the most often.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and just being around those people and being around those discussions, like
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be able to think musically at the level that I do if it wasn't for the fact that I was around those people really early on.
Yeah.
And was like, shit, I got some catching up to do. You know,
Yeah,
it's
like
at
if
the
nothing
very
else.
it's at the very least, it's a motivating factor.
Yeah, it kind of illuminates what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you don't understand kind of what you need to get a grasp on to get to that level, at least you like are aware that that level exists and that there are people around you who are there and like can kind of show you the way at least a little bit, or one of the ways, you know.
Yeah.
You look like you're trying to remember something.
I am. Trying to remember what we were working on in those theory classes.
Yeah, I wonder, like, do you think...
It probably wasn't anything that complicated is the worst part.
Yeah, like if you were to sit in on that now, you'd be like, oh, come on, Nick.
Yeah, but it's still a bunch of high school kids. Like, it
Yeah.
couldn't have been anything too crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it was over my head. You know, how are you going to relate to the audience if that's not how they listen to music? Your relationship with music is so different from theirs that you're not experiencing it the same way, and you're not going to effectively commune with